Hello, welcome to the video on areas of regular polygons. This is our first example set A. And what we're going to do here is find the area of these regular polygons with the given information. And this first exercise is really just to get you comfortable using the formula we talked about in the lesson. And that was the area of a regular polygon is equal to 1/2 A times P, where A is the apothem and P is the perimeter. Okay, but you can see here that we have we have enough information to find the apothem and the perimeter. Okay, well obviously the apothem is given to us, but there's other pieces of information, okay, the length of the sides and the number of sides, that's enough information for us to find the perimeter. Okay, so if you didn't quite figure that out, if you haven't tried this problem yet, now is a good time to maybe pause the video and give it a try. Okay, so these two pieces of information will get us to the P, get us to the perimeter, and then of course we have the A, and we'll just plug everything into our nice little formula and find the area. All right, so let's go ahead and just do that. So this will be the area equals to 1/2, the apothem is 2 times the square root of 3. Okay, now the perimeter, let's go ahead and find out over here. The perimeter is going to be the number of sides. Okay, well here we have 10 sides times the length of one side, so that's 5. So the total perimeter is going to be 50. Okay, so that's what we have to plug in right here. So we have 1/2 times 2 times the square root of 3 times 50. Okay, so hopefully you're very comfortable working with these radicals and fractions. It's actually very easy to simplify because the 1/2 times the 2, this just goes away, and really you are now left with square root of 3 times 50. But we want to write that this way: 50 times radical 3, or the square root of 3. And that's it. Okay. Now, of course, you can go into your calculator and find the square root of 3 and multiply by 50. I think that's kind of unnecessary, and you should be able to simplify at a minimum these expressions with radicals and kind of work this way, because more often than not, most math teachers, if you were taking this for a test or a quiz, wouldn't let you be using your calculator, at least on something like this. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our second problem. Same thing. Okay, so we already have our apothem, and we're going to use these two pieces of information to find our perimeter. So let's go and set up the problem. So the area is going to be equal to 1/2 the apothem, which is the square root of 2, times the perimeter. Okay, so the perimeter is going to be equal to the number of sides, 8, times the length of one side, which is 2 radical 3. So 8 times 2 radical 3. Now here is where some of you might hopefully are not struggling with working with radicals, but I only bring it up because in my experience, sometimes when you're in geometry, you might, be a little rusty on some of your algebra. So you should be able to do that. How do you simplify 8 times 2 times square root of 3? Now, if you're rusty on it, you want to go back and review, but this is simply 16 times radical 3. Okay, so it's going to be 8 times 2, then you have your radical 3. So 16 times the square root of 3, or radical 3, is your entire perimeter. So now let's go and write that here. Okay, now if you're kind of struggling with these radicals, you say, I'm just going to use my calculator. That's a bad mistake. Okay, you want to make sure you know how to work with these calculators. It's just not enough to get the actual value. You want to be able to simplify these expressions. All right, so let's go ahead and just kind of clean this up so we have a final answer for the area. So we have 1/2 times radical 2 times 16 times radical 3. Okay, so each one of these are just numbers in this big product. So I'm looking at this 1/2 and this 16, so that's going to be 8. So this is going to be 8 times radical 2 times radical 3. All right, but this is still not simplified. So once again, how do I write this in a better way? How do I simplify these radical expressions? Okay, so this is going to be the area is going to be equal to 8 times radical 2 times radical 3. is equal to square root of 2 times 3. So this will be 8 times the square root of 6. Okay. Now, if your final answer in value, if you take the square root of 6 on your calculator and you multiply by 8 and you get this, that's good. Okay. So I don't want to not deter from you understanding, but you need to know how to work with these radicals. Okay. Really, really important. Okay, dokie. Let's go ahead and take a look at our last problem. So in this scenario, what we're dealing with is variable expressions, okay? But the same process is going to apply. All right, so we have our area equals to 1/2 the apothem, which is going to be 3/4 x, okay, times the perimeter. Okay, and of course the perimeter is going to be the number of sides times the length of one side, or 6 times 5x, or 30x. Okay, so we'll put that right here. All right, so we have 1/2. You have 1/2 times 3/4 x times the 30x. So once again, you got to simplify to get your final answer. So let's see here. Let's just go ahead and multiply all the numerators and all the denominators, because we could just think of this as the product of 3 fractions. So this would be 3 times 30, or 90, x times x. So that would be 90 x squared over 8. Okay, 2 times 4. Right. So basically just think of this as 3, product of 3 fractions. And then I can go ahead and reduce 90x squared over 8 down to 45 over 4x squared. Okay. All right, so a lot of geometry, as I've been kind of talking about, time and time again, deals with algebra. Okay, algebra is the language of really mathematics. So, certainly don't be surprised that you have to use this stuff where it's coming up again, in your study of geometry. Take the time, review, and once you figure it out, and you say, okay, now I got it. You have those skills. You'll be able to conquer, these area problems much, much easier. All right, so keep working hard. We'll see you soon.